obviously be taking place. We're back at work on Saturday, so we're going to have to see how these things go over the next few weeks. We've been bringing these shows all the way through the pandemic, and it's a good thing that we have, because it's kept my sanity going, and I'm sure it's kept a lot of yours going tonight. So here we go. We're here with Nat Peters.
Evening.
We're here with Paul Hipkiss.
Good evening, all.
We're here with myself. Good evening. And we're here, of course, with Mrs. Brown.
Good evening.
And the legend that is Darren Purse, ladies and gentlemen. Darren Purse.
Who are ya? Who are ya?
Greetings, Darren. Welcome to the Tilton Talk Show.
How's it going, Nick? You're right.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Thanks for giving your time on a Monday night for us, matey. And it's been so, and I tell you this every week, it's been so important that we've kept this going all the way through this pandemic, because we're in touch with not only the supporters of the show, but also supporters which are our family, like, you know, the Blues family. And it's great that so many people have given the time up. And what a guest list we've had. And thanks to Craig Courtney for all the hard work that he does in the background. Wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff. Okay, a couple of announcements, ladies and gents. I'm going to have to put my glasses on. And many happy returns today to Jude Bellingham, 17 years old. Well done, Jude. And, of course, my daughter, Rebecca, who's 27 as well today. Blues 3, Hull 3 over the weekend. We'll talk about that one in a bit. And the next game up is, of course, Huddersfield. Now, Jerry Gill wrote this morning, he's got a crowdfunder on the go. Jerry Gill, manager of Bath City, has launched a crowdfunder campaign to help keep Bath City's promotion dreams alive. Speaking via video, Jeremy explained how thoroughly everyone has been preparing for the possibility of the playoffs. And now that they're happening, appealed for our supporters to give whatever they are able to on a crowdfunder appeal to support the team. Fans and residents around the city are invited to donate towards the £35,000 target that will enable the team to compete with a chance of playing in the National League next season, just one step below the Football League. Donors will get the chance to claim rewards from watching a live stream of the first match, to having a personalised flag on the terraces, and to sponsoring a player and keeping their signed match shirt. The playoffs start on the 18th or 19th of July with a home match against Dorking Wanderers, but come with a host of unbudgeted costs at a time when the club must play behind closed doors and is starved of normal bar and commercial revenues. Extensive testing and new PPE equipment, deep cleaning and wages to take players and staff off furlough, all needed to be funded. So we're asking for the Bath City heroes to step forward and help your club pitch for promotion. But there are other heroes we want to acknowledge too, our real heroes, the NHS. So players will play with the NHS logos on their kit, and we'll give one free entry to NHS workers in selected games next season for every £20 we raise. That could be as many as 1,750. Thank you from Bath City fans. Take a look at the crowdfunder now, choose your reward, and back our team for promotion. Jerry Gill, ladies and gentlemen, one of our own.
Oh, by the way, I've donated on behalf of Tilton Talk.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Please note, some rewards like player sponsorships are strictly first come, first served, so don't delay. Excuse me. I had a message from Graham Brown. Graham was the superb winner of the shirt that you've still got possession of, Chris.
Yeah.
Graham says, sorry I've not been in touch about the shirt. Had a rough couple of months, just come out of hospital with a heart scare, and the wife came down with a virus on top of that. But we are both on the mend, and I hope you understand at the moment, money is really tight. Keep right on. And of course, I've replied to him. And from everybody here at the Tilton Talk Show and every Birmingham City fan, Graham Brown and your lovely wife, get well soon. Get well soon.
Fantastic.
Hey, there we go. That's the announcement out of the way. Darren.
Yes.
Welcome. Brilliant stuff, mate. And what a player you was for us as well. So well liked, and just that era, that time was brilliant. It was special.
No, listen, I think you go back through obviously, and a lot of the players that I picked for my 11 are from that sort of era, but you go back to them times, and it was different to what it is nowadays. I think the fans could get a little bit closer to the players. There was always sort of nights that you could go to and meet the players, and the players were very sort of forthcoming and getting to know the fans, especially obviously the real true blue noses that turn up week in, week out. So it was a good time with. Pardon?
We're a mad bunch.
No, hey, definitely. You know what I mean? I've played for some mad fans, and Blues are definitely up there with the fans. Are definitely up there with some of the ones I've played for. But yeah, just brilliant times, and obviously had some real good occasions as well. Obviously with the Worthing Cup final, getting promotion to the Premier League. Obviously some downtimes as well, missing out on the playoffs 3 years on the spin, and getting
the Worthing Cup final was the first time I met you.
Was it?
I met you, you did a walk round in the COP after the day or so after.
Yeah.
And I met you there with John O and a few others and one thing and another.
Yeah.
And so it was great times. Obviously, we were robbed. Then we speak about that one quite a lot, but we got to move on.
Just we won it again in 2011, so we were
Didn't we just? What a goal! I love it.
Was you there, Darren? Was you there in 2011?
I didn't go. I weren't there for the Carling Cup. I was still playing at the time, so I don't know, because obviously it was a Sunday. I don't know if I had a game or couldn't quite get to it, but definitely watched it on the telly, and great occasion for all the Blues fans, and brilliant to put sort of 2004, I think it was, to bed and get our names on the trophy.
It's great to be the only West Midlands club to win a major trophy in high definition.
There you go. That's where it's all about.
I'll drink my blood to that, definitely.
Bragging rights to West Midlands.
I was going to say on the League Cup final in 2001, though, I actually watched it the other week, and I still can't get my head around how David Ellery never gave a penalty with that second shot. It couldn't have been any clearer. It's not one of those where it's half and half. You might have got to the ball. It could not have been any clearer. Even the commentators said straight away that's a penalty.
He looked a penalty. Obviously, AJ with his pace and that, he just took him away. And I think it weren't Sammy Hippier, it's Hencho, wasn't it? Stefan Hencho.
Yeah, Stefan Hencho. Yeah,
he dived in on it, didn't he? And it looked a definite pen. How many times, especially in a cup final, do you get two penalties though in sort of normal time and extra time? It's very rare. So
personally, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, right? But David Ellery. David, we can't have Birmingham City in Europe.
Yeah, probably about right, definitely. But we had our chances on the penalty shootout as well, But it just didn't quite work out. So I'm disappointed, obviously, with Grange and AJ missing. But they did their bit to get us there, if you know what I mean. So
I think I've got to say at this point, congratulations to Liverpool for winning the Premier League. What an absolute tremendous effort that's been this year. I know it's not Birmingham City, but credit where credit's due, man. They've done a mighty job at winning that. Well done.
Nah. No, they did definitely the best side in the league this year, and probably last year as well. They just couldn't quite get over the line last year. So Jurgen Klopp's done brilliant for them. They're an excellent side and probably deserve to win the Premier League.
Yeah, definitely. And with your penalties, Darren, obviously, I always used to notice back in the day as well. Every time you took one, you'd have your back to the ball to start with, wouldn't you? And then turn round and do this fast run up.
Yeah, it was something I'd done. I'd taken penalties since I was sort of 10 years of age.
Yeah,
and my dad always said to me, like, just get yourself like a technique, get yourself a little way to get yourself mentally right for it. And as soon as I put the ball down, I always used to turn my back on the goalkeeper. So there's no sort of looking at him. There's no eye contact between the two of you. So there's no mind games going on. And I always just knew where I was going to put it, and if the keeper went the right way and saved it, so be it. It's the way it was. Yeah. But I always did quite well. I had a pretty decent record.
I've noticed, Darren, actually watching just a few of the penalties, including the one in the cup final. You generally, as well, you always put it to the keeper's left, as in your right. You never came across your body. Was that something deliberate, or was that just?
Not really deliberate. I think that was probably my preferred way of going. I did go there quite a lot, but I think you have to sort of. I'd probably go there 3 or 4 times, and then obviously nowadays people watch sort of the penalties. They've got analysts that do all that. So towards the end of my career, I started to change it that little bit more. I always said, as long as you hit it right with the right pace, the chances of the keeper saving it's sort of nigh on zero, And I was always pretty good at them. So
yeah.
Paul, any questions in from the listeners in the week, mate?
Yeah. Do you want to go over the game? Should we go over Saturday's game first?
Oh yeah, let's do the game first. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So I mean, talk about. Sorry, go on.
How can we go 1-0 down in 2 minutes, man? We've got to be sharper than that. We've got to be sharper than that. Well, and for everybody to jump on that free kick, I don't know. Is that the plan, or do you leave two lots of feet on the floor, or what? I don't know. Discuss.
But obviously, when you talk about analysts and all that in the game nowadays, that is one of the first things that analysts look at. Obviously, one of them is sort of penalties, what way the penalties go, but also does a wall jump or not. And I think Messi scored one a little while ago, about a year ago, doing exactly the same thing. If the wall jumps, play it underneath the wall, the keeper can't get anywhere near it.
I mean, a credit to the lad because he planted it in the right place. Right, he scored the goal, obviously, and he just confused our wall and that defensive line. So you've got to give credit where credit's due because it was well taken goal.
No, he did well. Took it really well. So
we just didn't come out of the dressing room, did we, at the start? And the first half was just one to forget. That's the worst I've seen us play.
You know what it reminded me of, Paul? It reminded me of like they were like looking around saying, "Where's the crowd?"
Oh yeah.
I do think they missed it. I really do.
Yeah, they got to.
I mean,
obviously, I was commentating on the game for BBC West Midlands, and when I was watching the warm up of both sides, and Blues' warm up was excellent. Everybody looked like they was at it. Confidence looked high, and Hull's warm up was terrible. There was passes going astray. I looked at the two, and I thought, "There's only ever going to be one winner here." And then as they came out, the kickoff was terrible. They were wide open. The whole of the first half they were playing. Obviously, Collan and Pedersen were playing so high, and they were just too open the first half. And I think that's what cost them.
Credit to them though for the second half. Obviously, we fought back there, and obviously Bella coming off the bench and made a huge difference.
Yeah, I thought Bella was excellent when he came in, and I loved Crowley as well because Crowley was coming in and playing in little pockets that the whole midfield couldn't deal with. And he sort of for the first 25 minutes of the second half, he bossed the game and deserved his goal.
Yeah. And Gary Gardner as well. It's good to see Gary Gardner getting forward and getting a couple of goals. And happy birthday to him today as well.
His first strike was excellent.
Yes, Gary
28
Gardner's birthday as well. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Cool. Happy birthday, Gary.
28.
28 is same age as me. Same age as me next week when I turn 28. So that's kind of scary. That
Seems like he's been around for
28
years.
Both been 28, haven't we, Chris?
Pardon?
Me and you have both been 28, haven't we?
I've got underpants older than that.
But just on Saturday.
You've still got them on.
Yeah.
But just on Saturday, though, it was.
Got to say hello to Jimmy Burton out in Alicante. Hello, Jimmy. Welcome to the Tilton Talk Show. Thanks for your support and thanks for listening. Nice one.
Go on, Nat.
I was saying, just on Saturday, it was almost like the players, they came out, it's almost like the life had been sucked out of them. Like, even before we conceded a goal after 2 minutes, we actually nearly conceded after 20 seconds when he's gone straight, he's literally gone straight through.
No, have you seen the cardboard cutout of the lad with his hands like that?
Yeah.
Classic.
Only at Blues, isn't it, eh? What a sense of humour we've got, mate.
But it's daft that they can play so badly in the first half and then play just so much more energy in the second half, getting right into their faces. And as I said before we even came on, we made them look like the bad side that they actually are. But really, I mean, we've got to be disappointed that we haven't actually won that game. I know obviously being 2-0 down initially, you'd take a point in the end, but when you've got a team like that there for the taking, we really shouldn't have started that badly. And on Wednesday, I'd definitely start Jeremy Bella. I think you've got to, because they're Huddersfield, another team there for the taking. I think you've got to put your best players in the best positions. That means probably putting, obviously, Gary and Dan in the middle together, get your good players on the ball, and let's really take the game to them, because we didn't do that on Saturday, and we obviously pay the price, I think.
Yeah. Any team can have a bad half, can't they? It happens.
I think the way they came out second half, they just moved the ball a lot quicker. They got in at Hull's faces a little bit more, just played a little bit higher. But the little change of system was good as well. With obviously putting Bella wide, Crowley playing inside a little bit, and then obviously without having Kiftnbeld and just having him sitting there. I gave Gary Gardner and Bellingham that little opportunity to play that little bit higher. So the little system tweak was good, and it helped us out and helped us getting back into the game.
Definitely, yeah.
A serious question. Here we go. Right. Look, thanks ever so much, Pep, for what you've done, and I've loved your interviews, and I've loved your presence, and I've loved your applauding the fans after the game, and I've loved you walking into the Accessory Blues area after the game and meeting, our disabled supporters and one thing. I've loved everything you've done. But I'm going to ask you, how many is it? 1, 2, 3, 4 people. It's not hard to I'm going to ask you 4 people. Do you think, with Pep resigning at the end of the season, do you think he should go now and we should get somebody in now, and then we've got a mini closed season to work with players and to perhaps bring in and take out?
Good question. Go on, Paul.
Yes, I do. Yeah. Obviously, there's good managers available out there, like Chris Hughton, for example. Whether or not we would get him, I don't know, but he'd be my first choice personally. And if he did want the job, then yeah, I'd put him in tomorrow, to be honest. Yeah. And I'd give him more time then to get to know the players. And obviously, the last whatever games are remaining now, he can obviously start to do the job sooner. And then obviously it gives him. I mean, we don't even know how long pre-season is going to be before next season, do we? We don't know when next season starts. So
it could be 2 weeks, it could be a month. We just don't know. I ain't got a clue.
Exactly. So, the sooner we can get that person in, the better for me personally. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. What's your thoughts on
that? I'll be brutally honest. I would sooner the club actually take their time getting the right person in, no matter how long that, because we've actually got this bit of a window where we're probably not going to get relegated. So I'd actually rather the club use the time to get the right person in. If they can come in, maybe for the last couple of games, never go with the players themselves, fantastic. But I think the key is rather than getting Pep out and getting somebody else in straight away, I would sooner the powers that be actually took their time going through each candidate and deciding, right, is this person the best person to take the club forward? Because I think the next, every managerial appointment's big, but I think the next one is absolutely massive, bearing in mind the state of the club's finances, bearing in mind where football is generally, and bearing in mind the state of flux the team's in. They need to get this one right. So as soon as they actually take the time doing that more than anything.
Okay, what if it was Chris
Darren?
Sorry, go on.
Go on, Paul. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say that to that. What if it was? What if Chris Hughton wanted to come though and start tomorrow? Would you still?
Yeah. Look, if they found the right candidate tonight and they wanted to start work tomorrow morning, then yeah, by all means. But it's not as simple as saying, well, if we got this person in, he's out of work, let's get him in tomorrow. Because Chris Hughton, for all we know, might not actually want the job in the first place.
No, exactly. Yeah. A lot depends on who obviously the replacement's going to be. That's the biggest thing. There's no point in Pep going and bringing somebody else in. Because
what you might need to remember as well is that potentially the manager that we want might be employed right now. I'm thinking maybe Lee Bowyer, for example.
Yeah,
it might be that we've got to wait till the end of the season before we get the person the board want in. You don't know until obviously the appointment's made. But as I said, the key is not just simply getting Pep out to get somebody else in. Now it is we've got this bit of time where we're probably not going to get relegated. We've got the window where we can actually just have a look, see who the best person is, and then get them in their own good time. And just sooner we get to make a right decision rather than a quick one.
Yeah,
we've had more managers. We've had more managers in the last 5 years than we had in my first 20 years going.
Yeah.
Nick.
Paul, I want to bring Darren in there because Darren's been in there in the dressing room. He's been in where where it all happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Darren, what are your thoughts?
I'd either way, really. I don't think it's going to matter if Pep waits until the end of carries on to the end of the season. I think the big thing is getting the right person in. And the two names that have been mentioned, I think Hughton would be brilliant. I also think Bow would be top class as well.
Yeah.
But the big thing for me is the person that comes in, he's got to know the players he wants to bring in.
Yeah, right.
Because pretty much the squad is what it is. The squad that's there is what's going to be carrying over to next year. Apart from if Bellingham goes, we don't know if that's going to happen or not. But whatever, the squad that's there is because I think everybody that's pretty much playing at the moment is in contract next year anyway.
Yeah.
So basically you've got that, and then you've got the opportunity to go and get whoever the manager is, go and get yourself your 4 or 5 players that you want to make the side your own and develop it from there. But I think there's only going to be probably a 2 or 3 week window between the end of this season, then the break, and then coming back for pre-season into next year. So it's,
and on the Jude Bellingham one, on the Jude Bellingham one, there's some news coming through from sources, but it's apparently right. The Jude deal is done, 28 million to Dortmund, but that is a rumor. That is a rumor. That is not a club statement.
Right.
28 million. Actually, in a way, the money that we get for Jude, we could be one of the very few clubs this summer that actually have any money to spend at all.
And we could have Booker Pies back.
But the key is if we have got a bit of money there to spend, unlike most clubs, getting the right manager and actually being allowed to bring in his own players, it becomes even more imperative because we might be in a uniquely strong position the next season. I know obviously it's going to be Sam missing Jude, but with that money, we potentially bring in 4 or 5 good players and build a real sizable good squad.
What's your thoughts on the Daily Mail? They're crawling all over Fowler at the minute.
Well, again, he's
where did they get that? Where did they get that from?
The Daily Mail.
Yeah, where did they get that from? Where that story from? Something called
Yeah, it was Robbie-
something
it was-
called
it was-
Tilton Talk. We got credit for that.
It was Mr. Savage for the week who mentioned Robbie Fowler to us as a potential candidate for the Blues job. And me personally, I don't really know. I mean, obviously he's a big name in the game, and he's done a decent job in Australia. As far as I know, I don't watch Australian football, but as far as I know, he's done all right there. But whether or not he'd come in and do any good, who knows? But let's if he comes in, obviously like anybody else, I'll back him and hope he does well.
Right.
Okay. There was talk the weekend that the club had approached Steven Gerrard as well. That was
Interesting.
He is not leaving Rangers right now.
No, I don't think he would. I think he's hanging on for the Liverpool one in sort of 3 or 4 years' time. But there was talk of that.
I think Steven Gerrard he will not be leaving Rangers until he wins a few trophies. I think if he left Rangers now without actually winning anything, I know obviously go watch him pretty regularly. The club's improved massively, but he still needs to win things.
Yeah, Nat, think of this though, right? Okay, think of this scenario, and it is a scenario, right? Let's assume he left Rangers, come to Blues, gets the promotion that we all desire and we all love and we all want, yeah? How much more credibility would that then give him to get the Liverpool job in 3 or 4 when Jurgen Klopp says, you know what, I've done what I've done here?
I'll be brutally honest. With regards to obviously Gerrard, just in Liverpool in particular, generally his status is that high. I don't think you could do his credibility I don't think you get any more credibility than he already has got with the Liverpool fans. But as I said, winning a league title, putting Rangers basically back on the club's perch, I think that's still a more attractive proposition than taking over a championship side who potentially might be challenging for promotion. But that's just you've got to remember. I know obviously the club
scenarios. I know it's like this and that and the other, but it wouldn't have to his credibility a lot of good. Anyway, Leonard Edgington's on from Queensland in Australia, ladies and gentlemen. Hi to everybody at the Talk Show from Queensland, Australia. I think it's about between 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning there, and he gets up every week, bless him. Maybe Robbie Fowler is on his way to Blues, ? Keep right on.
I think whatever we do, we've tried it before, haven't we? We've tried everything. We've tried the experienced manager. We've tried a big name in the game. We've tried an unproven manager. So whatever we do, we haven't tried it before. So let's just hope whatever they do next works out.
Okay, so we've got a lot of questions to get through, Paul.
Sorry, Darren, you was going to say something then, mate.
No, I think whoever it's going to be, it's got to be someone that's got Blues and the fans and that at their heart, because I mean because they need to have that affiliation with the fans because it's a massive part of what the football club's all about. So I think somebody's got to embrace that side of it.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
from Linda says, I say Crouch for next manager. Jeremy, come on, Blues! I love it. 28 million under friendly versus Dortmund. Would you take it?
Dortmund away, definitely.
Dortmund at home as well. Home and away. Come on, let's do it.
I wouldn't mind a trip to northern Germany after all this. Dusseldorf's the next biggest city along for Dortmund. That is a great drinking city. So
you'll come back infected.
I just hope there's a sell-on clause as well because he's probably going to go even higher than Dortmund, isn't he? I would have thought as well.
Oh,
and some minute are saying apparently I've heard today that we've got Jude for another 12 months. So it is speculation, and I absolutely have to state that because I've been caught out once before, and I'm not going to get caught out again. It is speculation, it is hearsay, it is rumour, but 28 million to Dortmund, would it be a bad deal?
No, it'd be an excellent deal. I think again 30 million.
Excellent deal for a 17-year-old. Sorry, Jude, 17, mate. I'm sorry, mate. 17-year-old. You know what? I mean, what would Trevor Francis be worth nowadays?
Well, there you go.
In his prime.
That's going to set him and his family up for life, isn't it, really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And from a footballing point of view, I think it's the better move for him in the end as well. Because if he'd gone to somewhere like Man United, he's just another player in a dressing room full of stars. And with the greatest respect, even with these prodigious talent, getting in the head of the likes of Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes are going to be very, very tricky. Where I think there's probably more of a chance at Dortmund, where they are used to bringing players in. Jadon Sancho being the perfect example, getting them playing every week, and he's come on leaps and bounds. And I hope for Jude's case that's the same as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Listen, if he's going to go, look, you know what? We know that at heart he loves the Blues, yeah? We know that, and he'll always be a Blue Nose, and he'll always come back and make the odd appearance now and then. And we will always thank him and be grateful that He's come through our academy system at 17 years. At 17, get this into your head. At 17 years old, you worked an estimated £28 million. I've never seen 28 million quid in my life. Huh?
No.
Darren, I was going to say, what was your transfer fee when you were a 17-year-old?
Yeah, good question.
Oh, there was talk about £1 million, but in the end, I went to Oxford for 100 grand. So scary, isn't it?
Just
Come on,
I was playing in League Two at the time, so there you go. That's the difference. But listen, I've watched it. I watched him at his debut. I think he made 38. He's made 38 appearances. I've probably watched about 25 of them over the last year, and it's been brilliant just watching him grow because he's experienced in the way he uses his body at times, his passing ability, his technique's excellent. I think 28 million is a great deal for Blues. With a sell-on clause as well, because I think there's every chance he'll go out there for a year or two and be sold for sort of 60, 70 million back to the Premier League to someone.
That's what annoys me is that we can't hold on to him for that 2 years, and then we can't get that money.
But on the other hand, I think there's every chance Jude will still be at Blues next year.
Sorry?
I think Jude will be at Blues next year.
Right.
I've just got a funny feeling. The way the economy is, the way football is at the moment, I just don't think somebody's going to go out and lay out £28 million at this moment in time for Jude as a 17-year-old lad. He's got great potential
to look forward to as well.
Sorry?
The exciting bit is we've got his younger brother to look forward to as well.
Yeah.
Apparently his younger brother's even better.
I know. I've seen some videos on you. I tell you what, look it up. Like, wow.
I mean,
oh my God.
Darren, you mentioned there the way he plays in terms of how he's grown, and he's obviously the way he actually uses his body and almost plays like a much older player. Yeah. One thing I've noticed compared to, shall we say, other guys at his sort of age who come into the team, maybe have to be a bit protected by some of the harder senior pros. You probably even had a couple of players like yourself you've had to nurture. He doesn't need protecting, which is incredible.
No. I know what I like about him. His game understanding is excellent, but he can play any position. I've seen him play as a holding midfielder, as an 8 up and down, as a wide player. I've seen him play as a 10. I've seen him play as a centre forward. He can play any of them positions. He's got everything. He's a great player. He's a great young.
Yeah. He's a rare talent, isn't he? Players like that come along once in the blue moon.
I think the best thing for him though, Paul, he's got his head on his shoulders as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Is it question time anyway?
Yes, it must be. Yep. Yes, get some questions.
So we have Darren. We ask our viewers every week just to put out any questions to ask you as well. So the first one we've got is from Cole William Newton, friend of the show. He's asking you what really happened with Trevor Francis and that training ground broken arm injury.
Well, back in the day, Trevor, even at 40, 50 years of age as manager, Trevor was still a great player. Yeah. And he's joined in twice, 3 times a week, joining the 5-a-sides. And we always had a little pact as players against him, as you do with your manager. We used to kick lumps out of him a little bit. And we used to hate him scoring. And we'd kick him, we'd try and stop him scoring. But he was still excellent. And sometimes you couldn't get anywhere near him. But it's one day, obviously, he'd sort of chuck it through your legs and have a little chuckle up. And he's hit this shot. And I just said, I'm not going to let him score. And I've just dived and tipped it around the post. And as I've done that, I wasn't in goal or anything like that. It was just playing a little fight. I just didn't want him to score. I tipped it around and I just felt this sharp pain in my wrist straight away. Oof. So I got up, sort of shook it off. This is not right here. And just ran straight off the training pitch, straight down to the physio room. I think it was John Price was a physio at the time, and I just said, "Pricey, my arms. I think I broke my arm." Went up, had the X-ray sort of an hour later, and that was it. I was out for 6 weeks. It was weren't great.
I wish I'd let him score. I've got the newspaper report here as well from the actual newspaper report at the time, and it said Francis admitted the loss of the former Oxford United ace, who was attracting the interest of Arsenal, was a big blow to the club after an impressive start to the season.
Yeah.
I was going to actually ask that. One of the stories I remember as a kid was when you actually were linked with Arsenal around the time that, I don't know if it was just paper talk, or was there actually, did you hear anything more concrete in it?
I think there was definitely talks. I think it all came about when Tony Adams retired, and they asked him a question: who would you sign to replace you?" And he said me, which was brilliant for me because
I tell you what, that's a heck of a compliment.
I know, but Tony Adams was my idol as a kid. I was a youngster at sort of 12, 13, 14. I was a sort of played for Arsenal as a youngster, and I always used to get tickets to go down to Highbury, and I'd go down just specifically to watch him play.
Yeah.
You know, so for him to say that was excellent. And I think there was talk, but I think he was one of them. I think Blues wanted 6 million, and Arsenal were offering 2 million or something like that. So there was £4 million difference. So it was never going to work out.
I mean, I was going to say, Darren, if the club were pricing you out of a deal to go to Arsenal, I'm a Blues fan, but if that were me in your shoes and the club was saying no, you want too much money, I would be kicking off because that's essentially a life-changing move. Talking different level.
I was never into the money. Never motivated me as a footballer. I just wanted to play at the highest level I could. And I just wanted to play football. I loved playing football, and that was part of the reason why I think I left Blues to go to West Brom a little bit, because obviously I wasn't getting enough game time with Kenny and Matty Upson in there. I'd spent sort of the third year of us being in the Premier League. I'd spent a lot of time on the bench, and I think me and Brucey had a chat, and it was time to move on because I just wanted to play football, you know, and that's what motivated me more than anything was playing football and winning things rather than the money and the fame and that sort of stuff.
Was Brucey good with you though? Was he fair with you?
He was all right. I think there was a little bit of a grudge there because I think I was brought in to replace Brucey as a 21-year-old, and but on the other hand, I learned more in the 6 months playing with Brucey when I signed in the February to the end of the season. I learned more in them 6 months of playing alongside him than I've learned at any other time in my career. He was superb. He was brilliant to play alongside, and as a manager, he was good to play for as well.
I mean, Darren, I think I'm right in saying, obviously, I know you played most of at least the first part of our first season in the Premier League, and did you suffer quite a bad injury, didn't you? And that's why did Brucey then go out and get Matty Upson? Was that the reason?
Yeah,
the reason why he went out?
It was I think it was like the October-November international break, and obviously we'd started the season. I was playing really well, and my ankle really started niggling away, and I weren't training. I was training on a Friday and playing on a Saturday, and it just weren't right. So it got to the international break, and I went in. I had an operation on the Sunday morning after a Saturday game, had it all cleaned out, and I was supposed to be back playing within 2 weeks. So for the international break, I was having the operation, little washout, and I was going to get back. It came to the weekend after. I just started doing a little bit of running on the ankle, and the Saturday night, my ankle just exploded. I had all sort of yellow pus chucking out of it and everything like that. Sunday morning again, so a week after the operation, went in to the hospital, and I had like septicemia. I had infection in the blood, and I had to have another operation to do it. And I was in for what was going to be 2 weeks out. I was ended up being out for about 3.5, 4 months.
Yeah.
So it sort of killed my season a little bit. And then he signed Matty Upton, and it was sort of between the three of us, me, Kenny, and Matty, who played. And I think Brucey preferred them two a little bit more than what he did with me.
And I think, to be fair, Darren, it's probably not even personal against you when he's stuck with Kenny and Matt, because with the greatest respect, when they obviously got together, they clicked straight away. And once you get a partnership like that, you don't really want to tear it apart for anyone, do you?
I think it helped because they was obviously left side and right side as well.
Yeah.
Kenny, I think Kenny at the time was captain. So it was tough. I think I played we had 3 years in the Premier League, and I think I played about 70 odd games. Which weren't bad, but obviously from someone who obviously before the injury, I had high aspirations of going on and sort of doing really well. So it is what it is, and I said I don't have any grudges. I had a pretty decent career and loved every minute of it.
Nice one. Okay,
next one.
One from Brenda Brown. Darren, come down and watch the Blues games, and do you go to any away games? Also, when you heard the song "Keep Right On," how did it make you feel with us fans singing that?
I don't think there's a better song and a better set of fans to sing a song. I think if you go to, you see it on YouTube, before the Worthington Cup final in 2001,
incredible.
If you hear the fans and the atmosphere singing it there, honestly, it makes you. The hairs are standing up right now.
I do.
It's unbelievable when you hear it, you know.
Is that the beginning? Is that the
quality.
beginning with the cops singing as well, with the Liverpool fans singing at the same time? That's quite. Oh, that's loud.
Just before the national anthem, isn't
that's it? Yeah,
it
yeah.
was. It's brilliant, but I think the Blues fans definitely outsung the Liverpool fans.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They were whispering.
Yeah, that was amazing. Next one, Greg Mann's asking, in the Worthington Cup final when you scored the penalty in injury time, you and AJ went to take your tops off, then stopped. Was there a reason for that?
I don't know if you see it, in the Worthington Cup final, there's about 4 minutes delay while Martin O'Connor and Grange are getting treatment. So I knew I was taking a penalty. I just went and grabbed the ball and just went and stood over on the halfway line. And even now, I think back to it, it's like a surreal moment where there's like 80,000 fans, all the players, and I was just stood on the halfway line without anybody around me, sort of 20, 30 yards, just thinking where I was going to put the penalty.
Yeah.
You know, and then I was also thinking what the celebration was going to be like. You know, and I thought, I'll do that. I'll take my top off. And then I thought, I can't do that because I think I'd been booked early on in the game. So as I scored, and I was going to take the top off, and I thought, no, I can't do that. And I thought, what am I going to do? So I just turned around and pointed to me back. So it was random.
Two things about that celebration, Darren. One, I noticed straight away when you celebrate, you don't actually smile that much. You just it's almost like you're fixated. And in fairness as well, I think if you'd taken your top off, because I think we then went down to 10 men because we used all 3 subs, and obviously Martin went off. I think David Ellery would have been lynched had he sent you off as well and sent us down to 9.
I think Martin O'Connor, for that extra time, and he couldn't move, but he broke up so many of Liverpool's attacks just being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
you know, he was excellent. He probably played in a 10 by 10 little square because he was hobbling around for 30 minutes, but he was quality.
Yeah,
you know,
legend.
Next one. Right, so next question from Ray Hobro. So basically, he's asking, what does Darren have that you've kept or swapped from an opponent during your football career?
That's probably one of my biggest regrets, I think. Obviously, when we was playing in the Premier League and stuff, I was never one for swapping shirts. I was never one for going to like Rooney, Van Nistelrooy, and Henry and all that and swapping shirts.
Who?
I wish I'd done it now because looking back on it, I've probably got about a dozen shirts of different players. Like I've got Jamie Carragher's from the Worthington Cup final. They're up in one of my rooms and things like that. But yeah, I was never one for swapping shirts. I was on the same pitch as them, so they should have asked me for my shirt rather than the other way around. If you know what I mean.
I'm on your level, mate.
It never sat right with me to swap things. But then looking back on it now, and obviously when my kids growing up, did you play against him, Dad? And you say, yeah. Have you got his shirt? No. You know, and you look back on it now and think maybe I should have done. But it is what it is.
What you've also got, you've got not only the memories, but there are the videos, the YouTubes, and once again, they're all out there. They're all in the public domain. And how many kids have you got, by the way?
I got 5.
5? You've been busy.
I got 3 of my own and 2 stepkids. So
they've got 5. You've got 5.
I've got enough.
And you know what? When they grow up and they have kids themselves, they'll be able to look back and say, this was my granddad. This is your granddad, sorry. This is your granddad. That was your granddad playing in a major cup final.
Don't wish me life away yet. I'm not ready.
And they'll be thinking, why didn't you keep all them shirts?
Darren, how old are
you? 43.
43.
But then on the other hand, I've got a 23-year-old and a 21-year-old, so I don't think grandkids are going to be too far around the corner.
Oh, God.
Yeah, mate. I'm younger than Chris Brown.
Yeah. You wouldn't believe it, would you? Look at him.
No, definitely not.
Nah.
Okay, so Adam Welch is asking, do you remember stepping out on the balcony at the council house in the city centre and soaking up the atmosphere and singing Keep It On with the Blues fans in Centenary Square after we got promoted in Cardiff?
Not really.
No,
I don't remember it too much. I remember little bits of it, but yeah, I was never big on the celebrations. I was always sort of one that stood at the back and just let everybody else get on with it.
Because there was a few days between obviously the final and then obviously the celebrations in the centre of town. I was going to say some of those players, maybe yourself included, they must have been out for those 3 days. They probably don't remember a thing.
Oh, definitely. We definitely was out on a couple of day bender for definite. You know, with the players we had in the side as well, with Horse and people like that, they could drink as well. So yeah, we was definitely out celebrating. But yeah, I can't remember too much. I remember being on the bus and obviously doing the bus tour and sort of the little route and that. But yeah, it's not something that really sticks out in my mind. I always remember the games rather than the celebrations.
Yeah. And Mark Andrew Adams is asking, what was more gutting, losing the Worthington Cup final to Liverpool or missing out on the playoff final through suspension?
Losing the Worthington Cup final, I think.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. I'm taking all the credit for us getting promoted because in the Sheffield United game where I got sent off, which was before the Millwall game, he was through on goal. It was 1-0 up. He was through on goal, and I brought him down, and I got obviously a straight red for a professional foul. But I think there's about 10 minutes to go, and if I had my time again, I'd do it again. You know, because the bigger picture was getting promoted as a team rather than any individual glory.
As a defender, then Darren, your natural instinct kind of kicks in, and you don't think about, I could miss this game or that game. It's more like you just want to make sure that he doesn't score.
No, definitely, that was it. It was just obviously bring him down and deal with the consequences. And,
right, here you go. How would you feel if you was a striker?
What do you mean?
And you had that chance to put your team into that final or to get promotion or what have you, and somebody just hacked the back out of you.
I don't really give a flying monkey's what a Sheffield United. To be fair, it's one of the, obviously when my final was the 2 Millwall games, you know, and obviously I was a Millwall fan back in the well, still am a Millwall fan, and to play in them 2 games were brilliant for me, and obviously the atmosphere on both occasions. And I think I sort of played in them games as if they was my final, if you know what I mean. So it was good for me to play in both of them.
I think just because of the way we'd actually missed out in the playoffs as well, it was just as massive winning over those 2 games as getting as actually winning the final, because when season after season we missed out in the playoffs, always at the semis, and to quite frankly, some teams that weren't as good as us on paper by any stretch, Darren, it almost became like a hoodoo that we had to break.
Yeah. No, we had to, and obviously it was great that we obviously did it a 4th time of asking, wasn't it? Obviously, I think the games. You look at the games we lost in the playoff semi-final. Getting beat 4-0 at home by Barnsley was a random result, you know, and obviously getting beat by Preston on penalties. You know, probably the only one we deserved to lose was the Watford game. I thought they were the better side at that moment in time, and we just started to grow as a team by then, and we thoroughly deserved it the year we did get promoted.
On that Preston shootout, obviously the one where we lost in the semi. What was it like as a player when you've got Trevor Francis trying to pull you off? Because obviously there was all that hoo-ha about which end it was.
You can't blame that for the penalty misses, and that was obviously one of the penalties that I missed at the post. But I'd never blame that for the penalty. He was just trying to get his point across, because I think before the game they'd agreed to do it, because I think they was redeveloping the end behind one of the goals, and they'd agreed to do it at that end. But then all of a sudden, the referee, I think by police advice, I think they'd have done it at the other end. They was worried about spectators coming on the pitch. So the police said that you got to do it at the other end, and I think that's why Trevor was kicking up such a fuss. But that wasn't the reason we got promoted. We just took poor penalties.
Did it unnerve you slightly though? Because you look at, when you look at Trevor's face when that happened, do you know what? That guy was all over the place. He was incensed. He was absolutely mad. And did that have any effect on you? Do you think at all, even a slight amount?
And it may have had an effect on it on a couple of others. It didn't affect me. I knew what I was going to do, and I was probably in chat. I was an in chat in what I did. You know what I mean? It hit the post rather than hitting the inside of the post, and that was it. It's one of them when you talk about penalties. I'd hit it true enough, but at the end of the day, it hit the post instead of hitting the back of the net, and that was always the way I looked at things.
Doing that at the time.
Sorry.
Did you agree with what Trevor was trying to do at the time? Make that point and make that stand, because that agreement had been made.
Yeah, I do agree with what Trevor was trying to do, but then also I do agree with what the police and the way that they the reason they were doing it, you know, because there was a safety issue to think about. So I understand it, and as I said, there's no point crying about it. It happened, and you get on with it.
I was going to say, you said there's no point crying about it. It's probably one of the very few games I will never watch back because it brings back so much. Because I was only a kid back then. But to give you context, Darren, I was that upset. The next day I was meant to go because the next day was a Friday. I was meant to go into school. Dad said, "You're in no state. Stay at home."
Yeah, it was
but
a hard watch.
It was horrible. I mean, I just think about more than anything.
Your dad got fined.
I was 22 then, and it was horrible for me and all. It wasn't a nice experience.
Well,
it's obviously always horrible, isn't it, after a long, hard season, getting into the playoffs. You know, we worked so hard to get to where we were, and then obviously to miss out, you know, in the semi-finals was just gut-wrenching, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I think the context of that night, where even in the last minute normal time, when we're actually going through anyway, and Stan's obviously rounded the goalie. And then even if you just boots it into the car park, we'd go through because we'd regroup. But he's obviously not even put it out of play. He's literally just trickled along
the across goal, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think was that the first year as well that away goals didn't count, did they?
I honestly can't remember.
If I remember rightly, I think that was the first year that away goals didn't count.
I think you're right.
Even with their goal, I think we'd have gone through on away goals.
Yeah, that's right. That is,
But I always remember that goal. If he booted straight into the car park, it'd be obviously a goal kick. A few seconds would have been killed. Blues would have regrouped, and because it stayed in play, obviously Blues were all over the shot. Yeah, just whacked the ball up and scored, haven't they?
Yeah. So anyway, moving on to the next question. So Siobhan Kenny's asking, you were with Blues for 5 to 6 years, and then went to play for West Bromwich Albion for a year. Who do you prefer, Blues or Albion, when it comes to playing style? And if you could play for either one today, who would you choose?
It'd be Blues all day.
I was going to say it's going to be about 15,000 people listening to this.
There's no comparison. Listen, I when I signed for West Brom, Gary Megson was the manager, and I loved playing for Gary Megson. He was excellent. I played like the first 25, 26 games of the season. I was captain, and then Brian Robson came in and just never see eye to eye with him. We never got on, and I think I ended up missing the last 10 games of the season because, we just never got on as a player and as a manager. But that was the way. But yeah, obviously, I only spent a year at West Brom, so there's no real comparison when you spend 7 years or however long it was with Blues and play over 200 games. And you spend a year at a club, there's definitely no comparison. The only comparison I could probably make is obviously I spent 4 years at Cardiff. And I loved Cardiff. Cardiff was a great club to play for. So if I had to pick two clubs, I'd have my time again. It'd be Cardiff and Blues.
Yeah, sure. And Benjamin Jackson's asking, out of these two England internationals you played against, which one was more challenging? Was it Michael Owen or Alan Shearer?
I'd say Michael Owen. I preferred to play against someone who was big, physical, and the little tricky sort of players that were sort of quick, and I sort of struggled a little bit more with. So I preferred a bit more of a physical battle. So yeah, I'd say Michael Owen more than Alan Shearer.
Sure, no problem. And just a couple from me. I just wanted to ask you, what was the best captain or manager team talk you experienced to get us out of a bad situation during your time with the Blues? Is there anything you can remember when we're sort of losing a game and then to come back?
Are we allowed to swear? I won't swear, but something is a little bit near the knuckle. No,
not swear.
No, so I can't say the best one. It was when we'd. No, I can't say it. Then it's not swearing though. It's a bit sexual.
That's okay. Go on.
Hey, that's all right.
Yeah.
Chris Brown, this is your decision.
The best one, and you'll laugh, it was, we'd just beaten, I think we'd just beaten, I'm trying to think of the game. It was a home game in the playoffs, and we'd won, right? And as we walked into the changing room, Frank Burrows was the assistant and under Trevor, and he'd written on the board, let's not start sucking each other's dicks yet. As if to say we'd done nothing. We'd just won the first leg of the playoff. So I'm trying to think what game. It must have been the Watford game or one of them games. But it was literally just as we walked in, we'd won the game. Everybody was going mad, but it was only half time in the fixture.
Only half time.
And that's what he'd put on the board. Don't start sucking each other's dicks yet, because we've done nothing. So
oh no, you can't say that.
Yeah. I think it would have been the Preston one. I think.
I've got. We're going to go mad tomorrow. We're going to be like the Birmingham City of the FL for Ofcom.
I'll take all the responsibility for it.
We'll blame you.
It must have been. Yeah, it must have been Preston. It must have been Preston because looking back, I don't think we went into the second leg winning any of the others.
Yeah, it probably was Preston. And obviously we was at home first game and away.
Yeah.
Watford we played away first and then we was home second game, weren't we?
Yeah.
There must have been a Preston game.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Shame it didn't work.
No, it didn't. You're right.
And who was the best player you played with and against throughout your career?
Best player I played with was at Blues, and I think pretty much everybody that played with him was Christophe de Gary.
Yeah,
you know he was phenomenal. Listen, I never see eye to eye with Christophe. He was never my best pal. We argued all the time, but what he did that year when he came in the January to the end of the season to keep us up that first year, I don't think there's any player could have that sort of that impact on a football team. I don't think you'll see it again because he was phenomenal.
What a massive boost for you. You know, you guys as players, and you're in. You're down the bottom half of the table, and we go and bring in somebody of that calibre, right? Who has won a World Cup, and it must have been just such a massive inspiration to your.
No, it was because he brought the best out of everybody else as well. Like when you look at his and Jeff Horsfield's. Like when they played together, the goals that they scored, the way they played off each other, you know, and obviously Devs and the way that he played off him. I just think he just gave everybody such a lift and such a buzz to be playing with him. And he literally, he was phenomenal in training. He was brilliant. What I didn't get with him was after that, he'd signed a 2-year contract and we never see the best of him again. You know, but if you remember them 6 months from the January that he came in, you couldn't. There's not a better player that's played for Blues that I've seen play anyway.
No, me neither. And against?
I always say it's from when I've played against. I was lucky enough to play against like Henry, Van Nistelrooy, Bergkamp, and people like that. You know, played against some of the top players. But on the day that I played against, I remember playing at Chelsea away with West Brom, and we were 3-0 down after 20 minutes, and Zola was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
We couldn't get anywhere near him, and Johnson was playing up top, and he was playing in that little pocket in behind him, and yeah, we got nowhere near him, and he tore us a new one. So for the day that we played against him, I'd say Zola.
Yeah, and
shame he wasn't quite as good a manager.
Exactly, I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah. And who was your football idol growing up?
Tony Adams.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
You
kind of touched on that earlier. Yeah.
As I said, lucky enough to be as a centre half to watch him play, and just the way he played the game. He was never the greatest footballer in the world, but he made the best of his ability for his attitude and his leadership. And I tried to.
Yeah, he was an outstanding
as much as I could.
Great player. And who would you say? Sorry, go on, Nick.
Question just coming from Sam Willett. I want to try and keep a few live ones going as well.
Yeah, go on.
He's asking, can you explain the tunnel fight?
Yeah, it was Christophe de Gary. We were. The game was Everton at home. We were 3-1 up. It was literally last kicks of the game, and I think their right back, I don't know who it was, but had gone on an overlap, and Christophe hadn't tracked his runner. So on the pitch, I basically said, do as you're told, track the runner and all that. And he started giving it a load of... And this was the difference between Christophe when, obviously, he was on fire, and Christophe when he'd signed his 2-year contract and he'd started to sort of fob it off a little bit. He said, I won the World Cup, man. I don't need to track runners and all that. And I just said to him, I said, you're in this team. I don't give a crap what you've done. I said, you track the runner or don't, or just bugger off. And in the tunnel after the game, he stood there, and there were punches thrown, and we sort of, it was sort of Christophe, Oliver Tivilli, and Alou Cisse, and then it was like me, Grange, Gilly, and people like that. And it sort of kicked off, a couple of punches thrown, broken up in the changing room. Brucey said he's fit piece, and that was that. And yeah, I don't think Christophe played too many games after that. I think the next summer he went next summer he went away for pre-season and never came and did a pre-season, and that was it. He his career at Blue sort of petered away. But even though I never got on with him, he was still a phenomenal player.
I mean, I said this last week.
Pete Taylor says Tony Adams celebrated his birthday in my mum and dad's pub, same birthday as me. And a question from Mark Adams: would you like to have played abroad?
Well, I did. I played abroad for a bit when I was 17. When I was at Orient.
Yeah, but Oxford's not abroad, mate. Come on.
No, when I was 17 at Orient, I went and played in Finland for 2 months during the summer, so that I could keep my fitness up and all that. Obviously, I made my debut in February. Got to the end of the season, and rather than just having a few weeks off, I went over to Finland and played over there for a couple of months. So I did that then, and then at the end of my career, I finished up at Port Vale. Obviously, we won promotion to League One with Port Vale, and I couldn't find a club. And then the same team, I still kept in touch with the chairman and that. He rang me up and said, Percy, what are you doing? Do you want to come over and play for us for the last sort of 3 months of the season? So I went over and played over there again for the last 3 bits.
We've got a good live question here as well from John Turner, and he's just asking, do you think VAR helps or hinders defenders?
I don't know. I don't particularly like VAR anyway. I liked it when the referees, if they made a mistake, that was it. You know, people make mistakes, players make mistakes, and there's going to be goals. You know, I don't particularly like. I think if we're going to do VAR, I think there should be each team, each half gets one opportunity to call it, like similar to cricket. You know, if you think there's an injustice done, like a penalty, you stop the game as a manager and say, look, I want that looked at. And that's it. If the referee looks at it and thinks it's not a penalty, then you lose your life. You know.
I just wish we'd have had it in Cardiff when AJ went down.
No, definitely, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, Darren, you're probably spot on there, because the perfect scenario where that sort of comes in, that sort of throw that you call it when you need it, would have been the Sheffield United against the Villa the other week, where their players. That's a goal. Their players are all claiming.
Did you say a 5-letter word, and that is the word that Darren said earlier?
I never heard it.
Live on this. Did you do it?
No. I said when Sheffield United scored that goal, them down the road.
But and obviously, with regards to VAR as well, I think rather than having some numpty who's 100 mile away from the game, the referee has got to go and look at it.
Totally right.
He's seen the incident at real pace. You know, and if it's slowed down and he then changes his mind, then that's that. But if he looks at it and thinks, no, I was right the first time, I think, because he's within the emotions of the game as well, you know. So I think the referee that's on the pitch, and I think next year they'll change it a little bit. They'll use the monitors a little bit more, but I think they need to. The referee on the pitch needs to have the final decision, not somebody who's in his ear.
Yeah, sure. So should we get on to your 1 to 11, Darren?
I think
come on, let's go on.
Go on then. Come on then, Darren.
Right. So in goal, I've gone for Benno, just because. Listen, Benno was a great goalkeeper, but in the changing room, he was the life and soul of the changing room as well. You know, he was the sort of club clown. He was brilliant. Great company around. So when you're eating pre-match meals and all that.
Any quick funny Benno stories you can tell us? Any quick pranks he's done on anyone or anything like that?
I'm trying to think. You know. John did a video before the Worthington Cup final or before the playoff final.
Yeah,
I think that there's little bits of Benno in there, and we'd go out on a Friday, like for a walk on a Friday evening or something, and he'd go and chuck himself in a hedge or something stupid like that. You know, he was just a real funny bloke. He was brilliant at impressions and things like that, and he'd just come out with stupid impressions, and and he was a good goalkeeper as well. You know, I put Nico Vasson down as well. It was like a choice between them two, really. You know, but Benno gets it just because I think I played with him a little bit more, and I think he just brought a bit more to the dressing room. Yeah. So right back, I've gone for, and this is probably one of the toughest ones because you got Jeff Kenner, Jerry Gill, but I've gone for Gary Rowett. I've run with Gaz for a couple of years when he played, so I've gone for Gary Rowett. Left back is, I think everybody picks him, is Grange.
Yeah.
Me and Grange got on really well as teammates, and obviously still keep in touch now. So I'd have him in any. It'd be in my all-time 11 as well. From
just a very quick one on Grange, Darren. When he shared that video the other week, Martin, on Twitter of that tackle you did on Juan Pablo Angel.
Yeah.
Oh, you should have got live for that.
I know. But I think it was a local derby. It was a local derby. He was allowed to do it back in the day. You know what I mean?
An accident.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, with some of the tackles that flew in that night, and some of the things that happened, it's amazing that both teams kept 11 players on the pitch.
Yeah,
it wouldn't happen now.
Scary.
And
one of the biggest things.
Yeah, go on.
One of the biggest things from playing for Blues, and one of the proudest things is, I think out of all the years, I think I played 6 Villa Blues games and never lost one.
Ooh.
So I think that's one of the proudest things. Obviously, being 2-0 down at Villa Park, and we came back 2-2 when Stern John scored, and little things like that. You know, they're great memories. That
it was your long ball, wasn't it, Darren? It was your long ball up from the halfway.
I didn't want to mention it, but it wasn't a long ball. It was a cultured pass.
It was. Yeah. Pinged it.
So obviously Grange at left back, then obviously Michael Johnson at centre half. I played probably 200 odd games. I played a majority of them with Jono, and we had a real good rapport together and got on really well. So Jono and Kenny Cunningham as well. I put Kenny in there. I think he was captain for a bit for most of the time when we was in the Premier League. So that's me back 4. I think everybody else picks him, and that's Martin O'Connor. Just to sit out. I'm going for a 4-1-3-2.
Okay.
So Martin O'Connor's going to be my sitter.
Is he captain? Would he be captain as well?
Yeah, captain as well. He was a brilliant captain to play for. And I think I think everybody picks him in their side as well. And he just did the simple things really well. And as a leader, as a captain, he led by example. So yeah, I've got Skip in there.
Yeah. Bloke as well.
Sorry.
Nice bloke.
Nice bloke.
Yeah, great.
Bloke. No, he's top class. Great bloke. So you've got a lot of time for him. Left-sided, Stan Lazaridis. As a winger, I don't think he could whip a ball in from any angle. Even he'd have a defender a yard away from him, and he'd whip that ball across the box. You know, so I love Stan out on the left-hand side. Then it started becoming a little bit tricky. How I wanted people to fit in. You know, like John McCarthy. I haven't got John McCarthy in. I thought John McCarthy was an excellent winger. His work rate was superb. But what I've done is I've put Brian Hughes out on the right, because I think he usually played out there for a bit.
Yeah. So
I've put him out on the right-hand side so that I could fit Christophe Dugary as a number 10. And then I've got a front 2 of Jeff Horsfield and Mikel Forsell.
Great team. That wouldn't do too bad now, would it, in today's game?
No, I think it'd be decent, that.
Could anybody buy that team?
Yeah. And who would you say was the most underrated you played with and against, Darren?
Underrated?
Yeah.
I don't know, really. I'm trying to think back. Do you know what? Martin O'Connor would probably be under. As Blues fans, I bet you most Blues fans will probably put him in their side.
Yeah.
You know, as a team, I think they'd probably pick people like Sav, Larson, people like that. Do you know what I mean?
Barry Ferguson.
Yeah, Barry Ferguson. But I think Martin O'Connor was a very underrated footballer. You know, for what he did within a team, I thought he was excellent. You know.
Yeah.
So I think he'd be probably one of the most underrated.
And then against like anyone that you was maybe expecting an easier afternoon against, than maybe what you got.
No, not really. It was all easy afternoons. I was that good a player.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be a tough one. I'll have to have a think about that one. I'm not too sure.
Okay, no worries.
Sure.
I don't know where the time's gone, but just before we do go, Darren, can you say a happy birthday to Adam Courtney?
Happy birthday, Adam.
He's a massive fan, and also if you can say get well to Leighton Webster. I don't know if you've been following him on Twitter. He's the lad that spent the 59 days in the COVID ward.
I see that on Twitter, and obviously I'll send him a message on Twitter as well. But yeah, Leighton, keep getting well, mate, and keep right on.
Lovely.
Chris,
Cheers.
I'll tell you what an absolute pleasure to see that guy sitting up today in his Birmingham t-shirt. You know what? You've just spent 59 days in intensive care with this awful, filthy, dirty virus that's going around, so be careful, people. And to see that man sitting up today in his Birmingham City shirt, mate, I actually genuinely cried this morning.
It was fantastic.
Do you know, for me, you know what I was listening, he showed great fighting qualities and everything, but that just shows you what our NHS is like as well, though. With what's gone on, it's been superb, you know.
Yeah.
I think you look at what's happening over in America and their private medical and all that sort of stuff. To have what we've got over here and we pay absolutely nothing towards it, I think is a great thing, and they're doing great work at the minute.
Yeah, Nick,
which
where's
is
the
why
time gone? Where's the time gone?
And his support there for Bath City, and of course they're going to wear the NHS badge on the shirt. Excellent stuff. Sorry, Chris.
I said, Nick, where has the time gone?
Well, we're going till 1:45. We're going to go till 1:45.
We'll go to 1:45. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be
the wife just said, "What's going on here?" You know what I mean?
Brownie.
Yes.
His wife said, "You're on double time now." No, I'll tell you what, there, Darren. Being like, and I am like Birmingham City is my life. Yeah, it is. I'll put Birmingham City for everything. Obviously not my children and one thing or another. Like, I've got my medallion there. I have that handmade.
I see that at the start. It was
handmade. That was. There's only 5 of those in the country. There's only 5 of those in the world.
There's only 5 people that would wear it.
You said that before.
Are you worried about crowd trouble while you're taking penalties?
It reminds me of the Del Boy thing.
What, sorry, mate?
Says Rooney, doesn't it?
Tattooed on my arm.
Mate. Nick, there it is. Nick, has anybody gone up to you and said, what does it stand for? Is that Bristol City?
No, they didn't. Listen, I am absolutely properly well known in this town for being the number 1 Birmingham City fan, certainly within this region. Nobody else is like as crazy as me about Birmingham City in this town. But it's been a hard few weeks, you know what, not being able to go to the games and all the games being off one another. But I'm so glad that they're back, and I'm so glad that we're starting to ease ourselves back into this, right? But I genuinely believe we've got that second spike coming, right? And I've said it all along. And I just don't want people to be silly. Don't want people to be crazily daft and do things that, you know, are going to put us back another 4 months, 6 months, 12 months even. I don't know. And it scares me. We work in pubs, right? And I'm genuinely concerned about picking dirty glasses up next Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can imagine. Hey, Nick, somebody's just said, no wonder Nick's got a bad back wearing that around his neck.
Actually, here's the truth, right? And this is legal, right? You know my sister Pat, don't you?
Yeah.
Wonderful woman, apart from when she orders a double gin and coke in bar 8.
Oh, she doesn't know.
Double gin and tonic, sorry. We were talking to Twittering with Curtis Woodhouse a week or so ago, yeah? And I've got nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to hide, yeah? And we were talking about pain, and I was going on about this. Anyway, cut long story short, I'm at work, and I get this phone call. Are you expecting a parcel? No. Well, there's a parcel arrived here for you. Well, open it then. And it's a bottle of CBD oil, which is legal in the UK. It's legal, right? Yeah. And I was absolutely so worried about using it, but I've been on it now for 4.5 days, and the difference in my spine and on my legs has been incredible. And I mean incredible. I sit here, Chris, on a night time, and you know when you get that moving leg syndrome, that's what one of my legs is doing all the time to try and ease the pain. I'll get out of bed in the morning. It takes me 20 minutes to get out of bed in the morning. I have to have Voltarol and everything and and I've done nothing for 5 days now.
So that's the answer then. That's the answer then. Take weed.
You what?
Yeah. We'll take that chain off.
Predictions for Wednesday.
Nat Peters, sorry. Nat Peters, I want to clarify what you just said.
I was speaking in jest, though. I was going to say, I'm glad it's working for you, but it's...
Nat Peters, clarify what you said.
I said, I'm glad you're getting better, mate. That's the main thing.
There's my personal alcohol license, right? You cannot advocate for me to take things that I shouldn't do, right? Okay.
Predictions for Wednesday,
Yeah,
guys.
Marty,
What are the predictions for
Oh,
Wednesday?
yes, let's get our predictions in, yes.
Darren,
Me?
we've been in lockdown for a long time, right? Okay. Have you got a message out there that you want to portray to the Blues fans now? Before we go,
Well, do you want to do predictions first?
Let's do predictions for Wednesday, yeah.
I didn't hear that. Sorry, I haven't got my hearing aids in, Chris.
I'm going for. I'm going to go for. I'm going to go Blues 2-1.
Huddersfield. I'm going to go 1-1.
I'm going to go 1-0 to us.
Right.
They're in dire straits, just like Hull. By the sound of things, it could be their manager's last game. Just reading the local reports up there this morning, but it's a sort of game we stuff up. I'm going to say 1-0, but I'm not all that confident.
Nah, remind me, who is their manager? I can't remember.
It's the
Danny
Cowley brothers.
Cowley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for 2-1. Again, it's one of them games we're expected to win. I think it's going to be close, but I think we'll just.
I reckon it's going to be a big crowd.
Massive, yeah.
That just shows you, Darren, doesn't it, the difference between the Championship and League One? It's like the Premier League and the Championship, isn't it? When you see managers coming up and struggling like that.
The thing is with the Cowley boys, listen, they've done brilliant to get, because they started in sort of step 4 of non-league football. You know, they've done brilliant to get where they are. And I think sometimes you sort of sometimes you can go too big too soon. Yeah. And some things you work, some things you do work with lower league players and they don't work with sort of Premier League and Championship players. I always remember Graham Wesley going from Stevenage. Obviously, he brought Stevenage up through the leagues, through non-league into the league, and then he went and a manager of Preston. And I remember him having a sort of real struggling a lot with trying to get the Preston players to buy into the way that he did it with Stevenage. Because at Stevenage, he'd have them training from 9 till 5 every day. Whereas at Preston, they used to being in at 10 and leaving at 1, you know? So, yeah. And he couldn't get round it. That they was in there to work, and he could do it with the boys that were earning £600-700 a week, and that was their livelihood because they knew they had to do it. But when you're dealing with players that are on 20 grand a week and don't have to do it, it's easier. Or it's tougher for you.
And I think as well, to be fair, with any manager going into a club like that, I mean, Huddersfield have been dire now for a couple of years in terms of they got beat pretty much every week last season. They had a terrible start to this season before they went in. And sometimes losing becomes a really bad habit, and it becomes very tough to break it until you actually have an overhaul of people in the team. And I think it regards to them too, because you look at the success they've had elsewhere at all different levels of the game, you kind of just got to give them a bit of a chance and say, right, well, is it necessarily their fault, or is it just a state the club's in that nobody can turn this around overnight? Managers need time, ultimately.
Yeah,
I agree.
Let's hope our next manager gets a bit of time, eh?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, let's hope. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's now 8:45. What do you know? So we've done a little bit of extra time today. We didn't go into penalties, thankfully, so we're probably at the post. I'm so sorry. Oh, brilliant.
He won't come back again.
Was you going to do? Sorry, Darren. Was you going to do a message for everyone? You were going to do a message for everyone as well, weren't you?
Oh, go on.
Was I?
Just a minute.
That's what he asked you, isn't it, as well?
A message from you to all the Birmingham City fans out there during this awful period that we've gone through. You know that we absolutely adored you when you was at the Blues, right? You were an absolute cult figure. You still are, right? And you're in all our halls of fame without a doubt, with an absolute doubt. So here we go. End off. Last message to every Birmingham City fan.
The biggest thing for me, for the Blues fans, is listen, keep right on. You know, you sing it every week. And listen, whatever we're going through, okay, we will come out of it, and the Blues fans will come out of it. They've been through a lot already, you know. The new manager that comes in, make sure we back him, make sure we get behind him, you know, show him that what you can be like as a group of fans, and I just wish the club every success, because the success of the club is always down to the fans, and the fans at Blues definitely deserve that. So. Yeah, but the biggest one, keep right on, is you see it every week.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much indeed. Well, ladies and gents, there we go. We're out of time. We'll be back here next Monday, 7:30 through to about 8:45. Huddersfield, under the lights. Everybody get down. Oh, no, you can't. Thank you very much, Matt Peters.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paul Hipkiss.
Thank you very much. Good night, all.
And thank you very much, Mrs. Brown.
Good night.
But most of all, thank you so very much, because we do this every week. And you know what? It's an absolute pleasure to talk to you tonight. An absolute ledge, like played in that cup final. Okay, you missed the penalty, but we've all forgiven you because we love you. Darren, and gentlemen, Darren Purse.
Cheers, Jen. Cheers.
Well, that's it. It's all over. It's all over for another Monday, Chris. What can I say? We'll be back next week. That's all I'll say. We'll be back next week.
Okay. Is it Liam Ridgewell next week?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Liam Ridgewell in next week. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. Oh, what a guest lineup we've had. Craig Courtney is an absolute star. Yeah. Thank you, Craig, for organising all of this through this lockdown. We couldn't have done it without you. He's an absolute integral member of the team. Adam Wilkes and everybody else, Dennis, and all those hundreds of people behind it, and even Ali for cooking those chocolate brownies that day.
Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Tilton Show. Good night, God bless, take care. Always, as Darren said, always keep right on. Birmingham's the team, down at St. Andrews.